For those that are joining us today, thank you very much for coming. Welcome, welcome. And for those that don't know, my name is Thea Wilshire. I used to be a chief stewardess for 10 years before joining Centtrip in September of last year. Today I'm joined with our UX manager, Chris, who you all know very well from our previous webinars. And today our special guest joining us is, oh, I love the dramatic entrance, James. You've timed that perfectly.
What can I say?
So, James is our senior client relationship manager. So he's been with Centtrip for a while. He is the magic man, let's just say. So today we will be coming to James at the end of this webinar for the questions. So he'll be partaking his knowledge to everyone that has anything they need to ask. So what we'll be doing today is showing you how you can automatically transfer expenses and receipts to your chosen accounting solution with Centtrip's integration options. Now, what this means is you don't have to manually export and re-upload data. You don't need to rekey anything in. All expenses get coded to the right accounts, and it just saves you so much time. And I mean, who doesn't like having extra admin work taken off their hands? You know, that's always good. And the good news is the integrations are available for both Centtrip, our original platform, and Global. So both platforms, you can do this. And during the session, any questions that you have, please ask. You can pop them in the chat. You can pop them in the Q&A section. But I am very excited to actually see this one, Chris, because I know this is one that gets asked about quite a lot. And I know you said that this is going to be quite a chunky webinar in terms of your slides. So I was intrigued by the chunkiness. So this will be good.
Well, not chunky in terms of the slides, but we've got a nice, got a good demo today where we're going to actually be connecting. Yes. A Centtrip account to Xero, and we're going to be transferring data back and forth between the two. So it's a good it's a good one to check out. So I hope everyone have fun. Strap in, because today we're going to be talking all about getting data out of Centtrip into your chosen accounting package. So we've got integrations into QuickBooks and Xero, and also some specialist marine accounting solutions, Aquator, DeepBlue, and IDEA Yacht. We'll talk about those. But we're also going to talk about how the options for if you want to create your own integration into your own accounting package not listed here. We have a lot of options using our APIs. So without further ado, what we'll do is we'll make a start. And we'll talk about our accounting integrations. So those are into QuickBooks and Xero. As Thea said, they work identically on the UK platform and also on our global platform. So whatever platform you're using, you're going to be able to pull data into QuickBooks or Xero. And in fact, the integrations work pretty much identically and look identically. So although today we're going to be just focused on Xero, the principles we do today are exactly the same for QuickBooks. So we're going to talk about bringing label data in, or it's basically you bring in a chart of accounts for labeling your expenses, and then so you can also send your account data and your card expense data into the accounting package via what's called a feed. And so feed is sort of the main conduit by which the data is sent from Centtrip into the accounting package. We're going to talk about setting those up, the different types of feeds, the different timetables for synchronizing data on those feeds, and so on and so forth. So without further ado, I think it's time to actually crack on and take a look at a demonstration. So we're going to start off actually looking at Xero. This is the Xero business, which we're going to be transferring our data into. And I've got two accounts here, one called Carlton account, one called Christine Clement, which is a card account. And these are the accounts we're going to be transferring into. I've got an operating account here called Carlton, and we're going to be transferring data from there. And also I've got some card transactions here from one of my card holders called Christine Clement, and we're going to be transferring those expenses through into from Centtrip into Xero, and there they are. So we've got 3 transactions here. So first job we need to do is we need to create the connection. So we need to essentially have Centtrip log into our Xero business and unauthenticate itself, and that is done via the integrations panel down here. So if you're working with multiple operating accounts, you need to do this for each operating account. So I'm just going to select Xero, and then I'm going to click Connect Now. It fires up a little pop-up window, and there it's going to ask me to just authenticate myself because I've already connected to Xero from I'm already logged in to Xero, so it's just asking me to confirm the organizations I want to connect with. That's fine. If you haven't logged in from Centtrip before, you'll just enter a username and password. I'm going to connect to this particular organization in Xero, this Centtrip test one. Click connect, and the connection is made. So that's the easy bit. Actually, no, it's all very easy. Okay, next job we want to do before we start setting up our feeds to transfer data from Centtrip into Xero, transfer our transactions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to import in my chart of accounts or my chart of expense accounts from Xero into Centtrip, and I can use that to categorize my transactions just to make sure they go into the right account. So if I go to accounting and I go to chart of accounts in Xero, let's just maximize that. There we are. And I go to my expense accounts. These are all my different expense accounts. Obviously, these are different from business to business. These are just the default ones. Marine, probably those of you in the marine industry would have all sorts to do with, various things to do with boats. But these are the big long list of expense accounts which I'm going to bring into Centtrip. So the way I do that is, as I say, we're going to bring them in as labels because we're going to use these labels to categorize our expenses. And when you set up the integration, you get this button appearing here in your corporate labels screen called Import from Xero. So I can click that. And what it does, it connects to Xero and it brings in the list we just saw. So this is the list of all my expense accounts from Xero. Now it could be there's only like a few that you want to bring in because there's only a few which are going to be relevant to your expenses. And what that essentially does is an import, and it's going to create those as a group of labels in Centtrip. So here we go. I've got my new label group called Xero Expenses. If I click Manage Labels, I can see all my different labels there, and those are good. Again, I could delete any which I don't want to appear to my users. And here I just want to tick this box here, which is Show in App. And that means that those will be available for my app users when they're categorizing their expenses, and they can categorize them using our proper categories from Xero. So talking of card expenses, we need to set up a feed because we want to get these expenses, which we just saw earlier, we want to get these transferred into our nice accounts in Xero. So we're going to go to integrations and we're going to click create our first feed. And what you're basically setting up here is a mapping. So you map your Centtrip account, whether that's a account like a operating account or whether it's a card. Now, a quick note here for those global users, this doesn't work with shared balance cards because shared balance cards just spend from an operating account. It only works with sort of prepaid card accounts where you've got a particular, where they've got their own balance. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to go to, first of all, I'm going to set up a feed for my account transactions, and those are going to go into my, where it's gone, there we are, my Carlton account. which we just saw in Xero, and we're going to feed those into there. And we're going to be transferring statement data. And what that means is there's going to be a list of the transactions and changes to the balance. And those are just the things we're going to bring across. And now I'm going to do the same for this card. We're just going to bring across there she is. We're going to bring across the statement data and the balances for that card. And let's just do that first. Now, when you're transferring statement data, you need to choose where it's going to start from, because that sort of affects, like, you know, starting balance and so on of the different accounts. I mean, I'm just going to start it from the beginning of this month because this is all set up this month. And I'm going to create my feeds. So it just goes ahead and it creates those. Those will start once those feeds are created. What will happen is the data will start being synchronized. And it takes about takes a couple of minutes for the data to sort of go in. So while that's going, what I'm going to do is I'm now going to talk about transferring expenses across. Because whereas statement data is just a list of transactions, it's also possible for a card to select, let's just, to transfer expense data. And what that means is it's not just, you know, this much was spent, but it's also a description of the merchant, any cardholder notes, the receipt, the labels. Crucially, we'll be talking about the labels. So we are going to set up an expense feed as well. So our expenses are going to be transferred across as well for the card. So I'll just get that going, and then we'll talk a little bit about managing expense data in Centtrip and managing the transfer of expense data in Centtrip. So have a look at this drop down here called options. And what you've got here is some different options about how expense data is going to be selected for transfer. Because we were talking to some accountants when we were setting up this feature, and some of them like to manually select exactly which data is going to be transferred from Centtrip into their accounting package, because they just want to make sure that, you know, the labels are right, they haven't sort of, you know, put it in the wrong, selected the wrong code, they want to check the receipts look okay. So they want to manually check each expense before it's synchronized, because their sort of accounting package is kind of their clean, pristine system. They don't want any sort of, you know, wonky data ending up in there. But then also some other accountants are like, look, you know, my guys know what they're doing. I just want to get everything as soon as possible automatically into my accounting package without doing anything. So we support both of these with these two options here. So this manual option means only the expenses you select will be transferred and synchronized. And this option here, automatic, means that only all expenses which have got one receipt and a label will be automatically synchronized as well. And expenses get, if you're doing the manual method, if I just go to expenses and I go to my card transactions, I don't know why my internet's running so slowly today. Oh, there we are. That loaded much better that time. There we are. So what we've got is this new column that appears when you set up an accounting integration, and these checkboxes are used to choose which expenses you want to transfer from your from Centtrip, you know, into the accounting package. And so if you're doing manual, you can then just, you know, check the expenses and then transfer them across. You know, actually, what we're going to do while we're here, we need to categorize these, don't we? So let's select our expenses. So which one's this? This is a cleaning fee. So I'll select, I think I've got a category here for cleaning. Yep. So we can do that. This one is, which one's this? This was fuel. So we'll call this as motor. Got it here. There we go. Motor vehicle expenses. And then this last one, I think, is a train fare, Eurostar. That's right. So this one is going to be travel. There we are, done. Okay, so we've now got the right account selected for those. Right, let's check in with integrations. There we go. And this is what I was hoping to see. Nice green ticks here. And that means that the data has been synchronized across. So let's actually take a look now at the data. And what we're going to do is we're going to go back to our home screen. And we can now see in our various bits and pieces, we've got some transactions to look at. So if I go to this guy here, I can see I've got, if I go to my reconcile, these are my, this is my account. And you can see here it's imported these statement items. These are just like card loads and things like that. So, you know, it's they're not really expenses. This is when I show my slight lack of knowledge of accounting. But anyway, it imported the statement data in there. The interesting thing is the, if I go back home again, the card data, we should have some transactions to look at. But no, that's a shame. Hasn't brought those across yet. Those are still being synchronized. So anyway, we've got the statement data in here. We've got the, oh no, wait, I'm still on the account data. Right, what we want to do is go back to the home screen. There we are. Is this one we wanted? We don't have the transactions yet. We will have a look at those in a sec. We just need to wait for those to appear. We've got all the item lines through from the statement. Those have come through fine. What we're going to do is a little option here, which is a, because we didn't have the boxes ticked, I think, before the synchronization happened, it didn't know it needed to synchronize those. We're going to do a quick synchronize now. And what we're going to do, that's just going to take a couple of minutes. So while we're waiting for our expenses to be synchronized across to there, what we're going to do is take a look at a couple of other areas to do with connectivity. And then we'll come back to this in a minute or so when those expenses have gone across and we can see that data in the platform. So just to recap and give an overview then of what we've just looked at. We have started off after we made our connection, we exported the expense accounts as labels and we're able to categorize our expenses. We're able to transfer statement data, so just a list of transactions. We're able to transfer expense data, including receipts and labels, and we'll see those in a sec when those get taken across. You've got selecting expenses to transfer manually or automatically. I made the mistake of leaving manual selected and not ticking them until later. So that's why those didn't come across, but those will go across now because we actually then chose this sync option to sync manually as needed to bring those expenses across. Ordinarily, there is a schedule for this synchronization that happens overnight, so it doesn't interfere with things. So you know, if you don't need to constantly sort of click synchronize now unless you really need to, you can just let those expenses be transferred across manually as needed, sorry, automatically as needed. Cool. So let's take a little look then at a couple of other areas of accounting integration. And what we're going to do is just talk about our APIs. So let's take a little gander and talk about those. So if you've done one of our seminars before, you will have seen us creating users and being able to assign them roles. And when you create a user and assign them a role, that's what gives them access. Well, it's possible to also essentially set up connection from a custom accounting package or an ERP or whatever you want to do and can connect into Centtrip using what are called our APIs. If you know about APIs, they're just like a way for systems to talk to each other, a common language. And it's possible for an accounting package to essentially log in just like a user, and with a username and password. And let me show you in the platform how that works and looks. So I'm just going to go to users. And I've got one already set up here. There we are. I've got a user here called ERP system. Let's edit that user. And this user is basically a user which is specifically set up to allow an ERP system to connect into Centtrip. The important thing about it, it's got a username, it's got a password, but the important thing about it is the role we give it is called API administrator. Let's actually just add the role, and we'll add that again so you can sort of see what I'm talking about. So as a recap, whenever you add a user to the system, you've got to then choose what you want to give them access to. So we're going to give them access to this particular corporate we're in called Centtrip Training. We're going to give it a role of API administrator, and that basically means they're limited in what they can do. They can't do everything. They can just connect in via APIs, and they can and pull information, essentially read only, pull information from the platform. And then you can choose what accounts you want to give them access to. So do you want to give them access to all my accounts or just specific accounts? And in this case, I'm just going to be set up this API user to connect to my Carlton account. And that's done, that's set up, that's ready to go. And what that means is that user then is, I can now authenticate as a by electronically, essentially via the back end of our platform into Centtrip, and I can do all kinds of things. Now, what kinds of things can you do with our APIs? Well, we have that beautifully documented on our developer center, and let me actually show you that in browser. What our developer center is a really good guide. This is not, for people like you and me. This is for like your development and integrators and your engineers. But this basically this links through to lots and lots of code examples of like how to authenticate and etc. etc. And what it also does is links through to, it's incredibly well documented. It shows you all the things you can do. So, you can retrieve the account details, retrieve all the expenses, for cards, you can retrieve all the list of card expenses, retrieve all the receipts, and so on and so forth. You can see all the different types of things you can do. You can essentially pull all the data that we've just seen being transferred with Xero, but you can do it to your own system. You can pull the account transactions, account expenses, card expenses, and so on. Now, talking of Xero, let's just go back. Now it's had a little think and synchronized. There we are. That little tick is finished. So what we should have now, we go back to Christine Clement. There we are. We now have transactions. So these are the actual expenses which we've transferred through from Centtrip. So there we are. We've got, you see there the account, that's the correct expense account that's come in there. You've got here the name of the description, which is like the name of the merchant and so on. Now notice here, red wine spill during charter preparation. That's the cardholder note. I saw a little question pop up there while I there. So that's where the notes appear. So you've got those as well coming from the platform. And then I believe if you click the little thing here, we have a receipt. So let's have a little look, check out that receipt. And there we go. There's a receipt from the platform as well. Oh no, don't delete. So that's all there as well. So we've got our 3 transactions. There's our fuel one, and so on and so forth. And then as an accountant, what you can do is, because you've got keep clicking the wrong thing, tell I'm not as proper full-time Xero user. There we are. We can go to our reconciliation tab. And we've got the statement transactions. Here we've got the actual expenses. and I can go ahead and I can, if those all look good, I can go ahead and reconcile those as well. So that is the overview of the accounting. We touched a little bit on the API integration as well. What I'm going to do to finish today is just talk about, if you're not using Xero or QuickBooks, if you don't fancy coding your own integration using our APIs, there are other options as well. And these are a few of our partners who have built, they are, marine accounting solutions who have built their own integration into Centtrip. So we've got, if you're using DeepBlue or Aquator, and then also IDEA Yacht, that integration's coming soon. They've actually built integrations. They've done all the hard work of authentication and creating API calls and all that kind of business. So what it means, you can just it'll just seamlessly integrate with your Centtrip account, and you can pull that information into those financial solutions for yachting. So we've got those available as well. That is the end of my presentation. So I'll be very keen to hear questions. I've already answered, saw one pop up, but yeah, James, Thea, have you got any more questions from our guests here?
Hi, Chris. Yeah, hi everyone. So I can see a couple have come through. Obviously, Chris, you've already answered the one regarding cardholder notes in Xero, stealing my thunder.
Stealing your thunder.
But that is absolutely, yeah. In Xero, cardholder notes will come through into the description. In QuickBooks, they come through into a separate memo box. So slightly different, but essentially the same deal. When you're creating your feeds, as long as you select the expense rather than statement, those cardholder notes will pull through for you. Another question that's come through, if you create a new account in Xero, will it be set up in Centtrip? So the type of connection that we have, obviously, the data that you have in your Centtrip account is secure, and we want to keep it that way. So we only want to give Xero or QuickBooks or any external partner access to data that you grant, essentially. So when you create something new over in Xero, it doesn't backwards sort of filter its way back into the platform. It is always from Centtrip out to Xero or QuickBooks or anywhere else, and it requires you to set that feed up each and every time. So if you do create, there is a new operating account and you have that in Xero or QuickBooks, and you want that to pull through from the platform, you do need to go into the platform and set that up from our side first. And just to let you know, just on that, all that data that you're sending across externally, it's all encrypted, it's all secure. And like Chris said at the very start, you have to authenticate that connection as well. So yeah, data is always secure. I know that's a hot topic, and it's a question that does often get asked, especially when we're connecting out to external partners. What happens if a label is attached in Centtrip that doesn't exist in Xero? So that's a great question. What that will mean is that I believe, and Chris, feel free to correct me, that expense will still go over, but it won't be recognized. So essentially, it won't automatically tag into your chart of accounts, and you won't be able to reconcile that until you essentially go into Xero and assign it the correct label there. I don't know whether you're able to demonstrate that, Chris.
Basically, there is in the chart of accounts, right down the bottom, there's one called like unmatched or something. Yeah, it ends up there, down in the unmatched one. So it comes through, and you can still reconcile it. What you're probably going to want to do is edit the transaction in Xero just to give it the correct account code, or give it an account code that exists in Xero.
So if you want to find out more about the integrations, how you can do it, if you need any help at all, feel free to reach out to us. We are very friendly, don't worry, we don't bite. So you can email us, call us. Very happy to have a chat with you to help you through this. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. I hope you found this useful. And Chris, thank you so much. As usual, wonderful webinar. Thank you. And James, it's great having you join us today. Thanks so much.